Well, good morning, everybody. My name is Ken Shas. I'm the Vice President of Logistics and Inventory for U.S. and LATAM for the ELIT business of ABD. So that sounded a lot of words, but what does that mean? You take your drywall off the wall, and we build everything otherwise. Okay? And we are not only a global company, we're a universal company because parts of our that we build are actually on Mars rover. So we are about as far out the supply chain as you can get. Actually, you should see the drop shipments to Mars. They're quite difficult to get through customs. But anyway, all right, let's go first. And let me tell you a little bit about what we're doing. In the next, we either have or will in the next 18 months replace all our WMSs in the U.S. We will have added our TMS. We will add an OMS. We will continue to integrate labor management. And we're going to move from, I say, a low to moderate automation to high automation, all within the next 18 to 24 months. So, and potentially open up a new distribution setup because what the heck, you know? Put everything on there. So I know this sounds cliche, but this does need to be the starting block. The blank paper. So many of us start with what we have. We need to move away from that. We need to start over because what our vision needs to be, right? Next slide. Because that vision needs to meet where the customer is. And so many times we used to create supply chains to better the supply chain. And we need to start from the customer. When I say the customer, I mean both the internal and the external customer. One of the key things that I think is important for us as those who practice in supply chain is to remember that value add starts with what is a customer willing to pay for. Right? What is real value? We did this by asking a lot of questions. It was very funny. One of the first things I did was hire a data science team. All of my executives said, "You move boxes. Why you mean a data science team?" I said, "This way, you'll see," right? Now they want me to hire 3 more people at the data science team, by the way. And so the second thing I did was I stopped listening to my salespeople. And I actually went out into the field. Okay? And I met with people on my customers were at our stores and said, "What do I do that causes you pain?" And we started to work on an end-to-end supply chain as if they were an integrated part of our supply chain. And that's what it's really making us look at the systems, the people, the process that we needed to do that. Go ahead, read the next slide. Look at that. Got a little slide ahead of myself. Quickly. Okay. Again, we began by analyzing our processes. Then we kept asking the 5 whys to the point that people wanted to punch me. All right? If I keep over there, they could testify that they want to punch me quite often, actually. We looked at everything from all possible angles. Was it a process improvement? Was it a talent issue? Was it systems issues? Was it an unrealistic expectation? Were they not willing to pay for that expectation, or were they willing to pay for that expectation? First thing I did was I tried to find early adapters. People will help me take the message through the organization. You started this journey as very much the voice in the wilderness, and you got to get others to come along with you and start to sell this. And here's the biggest thing. I needed to change from emotional response to data-based approach. Again, the reason why I hired a data science team. When I hired the data science team, here's what I heard. We've always done it this way, right? Oh, I must have sat in at least 300 meetings about the data and the data accuracy and the data of the data could be interpreted this way, and the data. Here's the thing that does apply to universal language. Most people want to continue to argue that way. Data doesn't apply to our customer base. We have the only customer base in the world for which math does not buy. You can't believe 95% of statistics are all laid out, right? Here's the key. Be transparent with your data. Bring in change management very early. What you've got to understand is you are a tabby people at their heart. Okay? And you can continue to get angry, you can fight and all that, and it makes you feel really good. You can go home and feel really special, but you're not going to really accomplish anything, right? This is one of those times as a leader, it's good to be out front, but you better be able to take a cold step back and help bring your team along with you. I think the biggest thing that we were successful was we were truly transparent with our data. If you talk to any of the analysts who work with me, they'll tell you the first thing they have to put on any data that they present is their assumptions, right? And they have to be able to model that data at least twice before it goes out into the organization so that it's consistent. And we can give people parameters and they can recreate the same data. It's very, very important to boot it from us. Here's the other thing data will do. It will flatten out your organization. Silos start to go away. Let's go to the next slide. So, a bunch of ways to say, oh, what this is meant to say is understand that the different parts of your organization all speak different languages. HR speaks one language. IT speaks another language. Finance speaks a language. Operations speaks a language. Sales speaks a language. If you're going to drive transformation, it is your job to become the world's best linguistic person. Say that fast at 9 o'clock in the morning. All right? You've got to learn how to speak the language from the person you're speaking to. So many of our debates and arguments had nothing to do with disagreeing about the vision. It had to do with being able for the person across the table to translate it into what they needed to do or how they needed to see the problem. Let's go to the next slide. So here's how we developed the vision. My team looked a lot like that when I first started, right? Hopefully they're looking more like this now. But here's some of the things we had to change as leaders. See, it's interesting. When I started this journey with the team, I kept talking about what the team needed to do, what the organization needed to do. And as of late, I really started to look at what I need to do. As a leader, I need to be continuous learn. But I need to go to ProMat. I need to go to events like this. I need to be out in the industry. I need to use those networks that we all had on LinkedIn to ask questions, to continue to learn and develop. I need to return to fifth grade science, right? But null hypothesis. Set it up, prove it, or disprove it, right? Yeah, this is key. And I think we don't do enough of this. Find time every day to just stop and think. Okay? You're going to be moving at 1,000,000 miles an hour. There's always going to be 27 more emails to fill in or 15 more calls to take or what have you. But good leaders stop and center themselves. It's critical that you stop and center yourselves. Because the worst thing you can do against the emotional debate is be emotional. If you're not stopping and centering yourself, you're never going to be emotion. All right? Be very comfortable with the relationship with your team changing. You're no longer going to be their leader, you're going to be their cohort. You're going to have to be collaborative. This is too big of an animal for one person to drive. So you have to learn how to be collaborative. And this one was the toughest one for me. Understand there's going to be people on your team who possess skills that you don't. And that's okay, right? And as leaders, for most of us, anybody's close to my age, we were brought out, right? The leader has to know everything, you'd be everything. No. Just run into a wall and take yourself a lot of trouble if you do try to do that, right? This is not going to happen. And here's another thing. I'm a big data guy. I got my degree in statistics, law statistics. But I'd also learned that people bring the art where data brings the science, right? There's no such thing as just punching a bunch of numbers into a computer, getting an outcome on the other end, and then that becoming an actual behavior. Somebody has to take that data, analyze it, and move it to action. So remember, that's where your people are. Your people are in that part of that is art and the science of it. Okay, so I'd love to tell you I got this in the room and did nothing but think of this strategy, and I didn't have to worry about the fact that at the time that I took over the Bahia facility, which is our central facility, we were $50 million behind yours. Give you an idea, that's a little over 3 weeks worth of backlog in that app, right? So you can imagine every phone call was, when are you going to ship? Why aren't you shipping? Why didn't you ship? Why can't you figure out how to run a sorter motor 24 hours a day, 7 days a week? All those things, right? So here's the first thing you got to do. Stop being defensive about that. Just accept it's the reality and be truthful. Have a plan, know how to adjust that plan, stay focused on the tactical. Stop the blame game. When you're attacked, the first thing you do is try to find other people you can attack. It's human nature. So that if you go see your shiny keys over here, so they'll talk about the shiny keys and not here, right? So stop that. It's a useless behavior. It's a waste of time. Admit where you're at, get a plan together to drive away from that reality, and then communicate to unite. Here's how we went about moving ourselves forward. We built a roadmap, a budget, and a timeline. My budget, timeline were much more aggressive than my finance team and my operations team and even my IT team, but we got there. We did that by evaluating our resources, and then we went out to develop partners and solutions because we knew we just couldn't do it eternally by ourselves. And so we got some great partners and made some great selections of software. But in order to do that, we had to develop detailed flows of what we were doing and what we wanted to do. We, again, used our network, and we asked for very, very critical feedback, sometimes painful feedback about how we weren't doing what we needed to do. And then the biggest thing, it goes back to that multi-versions of say hello. We had to switch to Pydex language, right? And we had to start looking at how were we going to pay for this? What were the opportunities for saying, how are we going to drive this project? And most people think that means how many heads am I going to take out of the organization? I'm proud to say I've taken no heads out of the organization. You know what I have done? I've driven up gross margin. I've driven up sales. I've improved turns per order or size per order with our customer, right? Those are all very good ROIs and things you can do by bringing these kind of technologies to light. All right, so here's my team is seeing this a number of times. Here's our long-term journey. So this was a slide I first produced, and the reason I produced this was I wanted everybody to know what my goals were and how I thought we were going to get there. So this is just kind of a very high-level vision of how we think we're going to get to the top of the mountain. Here's the greatest thing about this. As soon as we get to the top of the mountain, somebody's going to redefine the top of the mountain. We just wanted to share kind of an overview of what our plan looked like. Go ahead. Pete. All right. Now it becomes time to start moving to action, right? Everything else was great, right? Philosophical, theoretical. Now I got to build to action. What do we do first? We changed our waiting philosophy. Previously, we had waived to meet certain threshold time to the DC and say, okay, we want 3 hours of the work, we were going to run a 3-hour wave, and this is how we were going to run away. Now we don't do that. Now we run it to optimize picks in the DC. We're getting any trend, the time in the DC. We very quickly realized 1 week was not going to be enough, and we opened up 2 more DCs to take that off. We also looked at order dynamics. And this was where, having some of those conversations with our customers really paid off, because we could tell our customers about things they were doing that were hurting us and hurting them. We had one customer ordering the same SKU 9 times a day. I'm like, you really want to process 9 POs every day? How about if you just place an order for 2 pallets on Monday? And they said, well, what does that mean? They said, well, now you get 2 pallets, not 18 shipments in 2 days. They said, well, what are you willing to give us for that? I said, absolutely nothing. I said, what I'm willing to save you is your administrative cost of processing 18 different orders. And we figured out that an order for them cost about $325 to process through from PO all the way through to invoice. 18 times 325 or 18 times 2. 3.5 times 2. Let's go. So again, the open on the BBC, we did an RFP for the WMS. Blue Yonder ended up being our choice. They will tell you that we were a royal pain in the keister when we were going out for selection. We asked over 600 operational questions with the goal, the answer could only be, does your base product do it, or is this a customization? We wanted to stay to the base product as much as possible. We made a mistake the first time. Did he go with Netlogistics? Well, with another carrier, another provider, right? By the way, I did commercial endorsements, every time I mention Blue Yonder, never do this, right? But I'd love to blame the other partner, but it was ATD's fault. We made a mistake of thinking we've hired somebody, now we could take a step back. And the reality is when you hire somebody, you got to take 2 steps forward, right? And we make a mistake of not laying out the scope of work we wanted, sharing our vision, holding them accountable, defining things like how we were going to communicate with one another, what our quarterly reviews were going to look like, all of those things. So we learned from that, and then we were able to bring that to our new relationship. We integrated the WMS in our West Coast facility. We had a proprietary kind of mark system in there before. Within 3 days, we'd already, from integration to all through go live, in 3 days, we were shipping more per day than we shipped in our original system. So, and our sales team didn't even know that I transitioned the building over. So that was a good thing. And again, one of the things we do with Netlogistics, and that happens to be our partner because it works for us, is we always continue to talk about process improvement, right? Our goal is always to be better tomorrow than we are today, right? Sometimes that means it takes 2 days to get there, but okay. But that's one of our big goals. We did open up our 3rd DC, and as I said earlier, we're working on LMS, OMS, and CMS, because I'm getting a little bored and it's hard to, shape things up. All right? Go ahead. Here's a few key things. Understand that your journey is going to be full of pitfalls. You're going to have failures along the way. It's not going to be this, I press a button and I wake up 18 months later and OMS, TMS, and all this stuff is in play. There are going to be stalls. Understand that no matter what card you pick, instill your transformation. And you have to figure out ways to integrate them into your team, not the other way around. Here's my Class A personality at the biggest turning point. It's going to take time. Rushing it just drives failure. It's going to take the time to faith. Transparency is key. Now, before I talk to the last bullet point, I don't normally add this bullet point because sometimes we see it as most of this, but it's not. Let's go to the last bullet point. As a leader, you're the need to decide whether keeping your job is more important than greatness. Because you are going to be challenged every day as a leader. Not only by your team, but the teams around you, the people for whom the status quo you are attacking. It is going to be a fight. It is going to be a difficult time. If you do not want to bring greatness to your organization, do not start this fight. It is not about keeping your job or moving the thing forward. That's both about keeping your job. It's a choice we all have to make as leaders.